Hello and welcome to week 2 of Introduction to Data Science here at the University of Edinburgh. Hopefully at this point you'll know who I am, and so I'm just going to get going through what we did last week, what we're going to be doing this week, and answering some of the common questions that came up throughout the week, things that we'd like to address, maybe something that you asked during the quizzes, so we'll move forward. So last week we're doing Welcome to Introduction to Data Science. So it was a real kind of introductory week of kind of getting to know us, the team, then also, our first day of visualization, getting a little bit hands-on, doing the application exercises, which you can do here, and pulling them into RStudio Cloud, and then some kind of general information about how we're going to be using the various bits of toolkit for this course. And that was for the rest of the week. Hopefully you all gave the quiz a go. It's still open, although you can't now practice submitting because it's past the deadline. And the lab and the homeworks are still up. And again, just a reminder, these aren't assessed. This week they're just for practice. Whereas, as we'll see, some of the future ones, such as quiz 1, which is now open, is not going to be for practice. That will be part of your final grade. The readings for this week were mostly introductory and some stuff on how to set up Git and some general kind of introduction to what R is. We have our code along session that we did, and we had this interactive R tutorial which started with some basics of visualization that you may have found useful for the quiz and for other things as well. Now we're in week 2, which is visualizing data. Just a warning here that if you haven't set up your space yet on RStudio Cloud or on GitHub by joining the organization, that we would like you to do that this week. Now there's only a few of you who haven't done that, so most of you already have. We also have the videos up, the assignments this week, as I say, the first quiz, which is due by Sunday, which is the first one that will count towards your grade, is now up. And the lab at the end of the week will also count towards your grade. And we'll talk more about that in the lab as well. In terms of when everything's due, we have the lab is on Tuesdays, as it is every week. And the homework 0 is due on Thursday, as again it is every other week. But again, they're not marked. Anything with 0 is not going to count towards your final grade. Just treat it as practice. But you'll get to practice how it is to push and pull these repos back and forth for the labs and the homework. And then quiz 1 is in by Sunday and it will be marked. So a number of you were asking in the workshop and via email and stuff how you can get access to the GitHub organization. If you supplied your username to the Getting to Know You survey, hopefully by now you should have got an email. But some of you, for whatever reason, didn't get an email. And the best thing to do is to go on the GitHub organization. There's a little link here on the website. We'll follow that through. And we can see right at the top that you'll see this little banner saying LDave93 has invited you to join the organization. And so you can view the invitation and then you can click to join it here. So if you haven't already, hopefully you should see that banner. If you haven't seen that banner, then please get back in touch with me and I'll make sure to invite you this week. We will be holding office hours from this week. Sorry that last week the timetabling was maybe a bit confusing about this, but they are starting this week. On Tuesday, we will be holding them online via a link on Learn, which goes to the Zoom. And on Wednesday, we will be holding them in person in mine and Alex's shared office. Alex will be taking charge of that this week. I'll be doing the online session on Tuesday. We did ask in the Getting to Know You survey what times would be best to hold these because we could be a bit more flexible about when we arrange them. And you can see from this following chart, which I made in ggplot, that you had 2 very clear winners in these times. This is Tuesday, 12 o'clock and Wednesday, 10 a.m. So that is when we're going to be holding those office hours based on the times that work best for you as the students on the course. I hope they work out in terms of your availability. You only need to attend one of them really. It's an optional part of the course which allows you to ask questions in a group session live to me or Alex. So please do attend. Hopefully we'll see you there this week. So when you submitted quiz 0, you will have noticed that we ask you to ask us if there was anything that you were struggling with on this quiz or in general, and I'm going to use this part of the video as an opportunity to address some of those. And so question 2 in particular was the one that it seemed most people were asking about, is how to ask questions about course content. And I guess here I just want to stress that, you can use lots of ways of asking course content questions on this course. Some of them are just going to be quicker than others, and some of them, if you email me, for example, such as email the course organizers, I'll probably say, why don't you try posting this on Piazza? Mainly because the use of Piazza means that you'll probably get your answer quicker to your question than if you email us. Emailing me and Alex and the tutors, generally, this is going to be about organizational aspects rather than questions about the course content. If you're having any problems that you wouldn't want to post on a public forum, again, the best thing to do is then to email us. But if it's about the content of the course, about R or anything that you're learning that week, Piazza is the best place. However, you can also ask your teammates. So the teammates that you're working in your labs with, you can ask your classmates. And again, you may have other ways of communicating with other people in your class, but again, Piazza is a great place for that. You can ask during the live Zoom sessions. We're doing student hours this week, which I'll get onto in a minute. And also in the live coding session, we'll leave a little bit of a section out there for answering any questions that you have during the week. And of course, attending office hours. Office hours again being this week, so again, it's a great time for you to ask your questions. Really, I just wanted to make sure you knew that emailing us was not the best way of getting course content questions answered. And also, we're not really using Teams for this course. We've got a lot of software that we're using on this course, and I didn't want to complicate things by adding even another way, an additional way of asking questions to us. Of course, you could use Teams, it's just not the best way of getting hold of us on this particular course. The second most common question from the quizzes was, what does the $sign do? And this is one of the slides from lecture 5 from week 1. And this is just saying that this $sign is just a way of selecting columns in your data frame, or tibble in this case. Remember, when we're using the tidyverse, we're using what's known as a tibble to create our data frames. And so this $sign is a way of accessing one of our columns. In the workshop, a very common question was how you deal with some of the errors that you were getting from GitHub, in particular merge conflicts. So I'm going to throw over to Alex, who's going to go over just kind of GitHub again, how to commit, pull, and push, and also how to resolve any of those merge conflicts that you may have ran into in the lab on Friday.
So one of the things that came up for quite a few of the teams on Friday was the issue of merge conflicts. Now, merge conflicts are best avoided because they cause you extra work and because you have to resolve different versions of the code. Having said that, they're fairly inevitable. You'll probably come across them when you're doing your regular coding, and you'll definitely come across one in one of the labs in a couple of weeks' time, where we'll get you to actually create a merge conflict yourself, and then you'll have to resolve it. So I thought in this week's video, I would talk a little bit about merge conflicts, show you one, simulate one, and then show you how to resolve it. So let's create a merge conflict. To do that, we need two different RStudio accounts. You can't conflict with yourself. So here on in the light theme on RStudio Cloud, I've got my own RStudio account. And in the dark theme, I've got the test student account under the name Rosalind Franklin. So we've got two different accounts here, and we're going to make changes to the same file and create a merge conflict. So a merge conflict happens when two people start with the same version of a repo and both make changes to the same file of that repo and the same bit of that file. If they make changes to different bits, when they both commit, even if they commit kind of out of sync with each other, Git can work it out. And that's one of the reasons why we ask you to commit, then pull, then push, is when you commit and then pull in that pull stage, Git resolves, hopefully, resolves any issues and merges the new versions of the two things together. If you make changes to the same bit of the same file, though, Git can't do that. It can't manually resolve the merge conflict So it can't automatically resolve the merge conflict because it doesn't know exactly which bits you want to keep and which bits you want to get rid of. So let's do that. So here on my version, I'm going to change username 1. Wrong screen. I'm going to change username 1 here to my username, which is Alex J. Homer. And that's the change I'm going to make. And over on the other one, I'm going to change username 2 to the one for this account, so it's Rosalind Franklin IDS. So I've changed 2 different bits of the same line, and Git's not going to like that. So let's go back to the first one and let's commit that in the sort of commit pull push sequence. So remember, we've changed the same version. We've not sort of done this in any sequence. So let's do that. I'll click on tick that, click commit, and it brings up our box here. I'll put in add username 1 as the commit message, and I'll click commit in a sec. I'll just point out this box here that says amend previous commit. Never tick that. Ticking that, unless you really know what you're doing, can cause all sorts of issues down the line because it kind of overwrites the previous commit, and that's not something you want to do, especially if somebody else made that commit. So don't tick that box. Just tick up here and click commit. It's fine with that. We'll then pull. Nothing's changed, so that's all fine. And then we'll push. All good. So that's now on GitHub. But we've made these changes on the other version. So let's tick this and click commit. And again, we'll need a commit message. So we'll say add username 2. Commit that. And it's still fine with that because it's just editing this local version of the file within this particular RStudio Cloud project. What it's not going to like is this next stage where I click pull. So I'm now going to try and get the version that I just uploaded from my account onto the Rosalind Franklin account. So let's try that. We'll click pull and it says conflict, merge conflict in the lab, automatic merge failed, fix conflict, and then commit the result. When you see messages like this, error messages, it's always worth reading them because it might be from that you can figure out what the problem is. But yeah, this one, if you don't know what a merge conflict is, you might be a bit spooked by. So let's close that and see what's happened. So back in the file, we now have some little arrows pointing left and the word head. Then we've got one version of the file here. This is the version that I just changed on the Rosalind Franklin account. Then a row of equal signs. Then it's got another version. This is the version that I sent from my personal account. And then it's got some more arrows and a string of numbers and letters, which is a hash that's sort of identifier for this particular conflict. So one thing you'll notice, RStudio is not liking this. It doesn't like any of this because it doesn't like the arrows and the equal signs. Those aren't our code. Those are something that gets added. So before we commit again, we're going to need to make this into purely our code, but also we've got 2 versions of this vector, and we need to resolve that because what we really want is Alex J. Homer to be in place of username 1 and Rosalind Franklin IDS to be in place of username 2. So let's do that. We'll cut that out there and paste it in here. And now we don't need this version of the vector anymore, and we also don't need all of this stuff that get added to tell us where the conflict was. And in a second, yep, that little X has gone away. RStudio is now happy with this as our code. So what do we do now? Well, we need to firstly commit this change, and a good commit message to use in this case is resolve merge conflict. So we'll commit that. Now, because we have the merge conflict, pulling isn't going to do anything. So this is one exception to the commit pull push sequence. When you're resolving a merge conflict, just commit and then push. If you pull, it's not going to harm anything, it just won't work. And if I switch back now to my personal one and click pull, it's found the so merge conflict there isn't the commit message, that's just the name of this project, but it has found one insertion, one deletion, and if you look, it now has both versions on here as well, so everything's back in sync. So the way you resolve a merge conflict, as I say, is make a combined version of the 2 different commits from the different users, and then commit and push it back.
Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoy this week's content on visualizing data. I look forward to seeing you all in the office hours, the live coding session, and of course the workshops on Friday. See you then.